Now we want you to share with us our latest and greatest dream. A place of hopes and dreams, facts and fancy, all in one. That's it, right here. Disneyland.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of the Way of Magic podcast. I'm Steve, and I'm joined, of course, by Armando. How you doing, Armando?
I'm good, Steve. How about you?
I'm good. I'm back. We're back to talk another week of Disneyland and all things in between. And we got some actual news this
I
week,
know,
so
thank
that's
God.
good to know.
Finally.
Thank goodness, because we were running dry there. We
We
were
don't
about to
gotta-
go and start talking about Reedy Creek and Ron
Jeez.
DeSantis.
Yeah,
and
let me
stuff.
tell you, I don't want to get into that
You
bucket
don't
of
want to get into
bucket of worms anytime soon. But
No,
yeah,
that's Disney. Listen
thank
to the Disney World people.
thank
But yeah,
goodness,
thank goodness.
we have news. Oh my gosh, and kind of, I mean, not major news, but kind of big, a little bit.
Yeah, especially when we get to downtown Disney and stuff.
Ah, that's heartbreaking news actually. But
Yeah.
well, I guess we'll start with kind of what happened this past weekend, right? So this past weekend was Star Wars Celebration. For those of you that don't know, um, I wish I could have been there. Honestly,
I know.
it's been fun. I've attended Star Wars Celebration. I believe it was last year when it was here in Anaheim. That was a fun time. It's a lot different than D23 though, to be honest with you. There's that's actually more of like a shopping thing, kind of. No, Celebration.
Oh, Celebration.
Yeah. Like, because I mean, with D23, at least a little bit this, I guess, this last year, yeah, there was a little bit of like, a lot more shopping to do. I feel like years prior than more interactive stuff, but there's still exhibits for you to walk through and all that stuff in D23. So our Celebration, it's kind of really just panels and booths that people set up.
Right, because I know Star Wars fans love the merch.
Yeah.
And stuff.
So it's
Big collectors and stuff.
Oh yeah, there's tons of stuff there, and it's when I went, I was a little less prepared for spending a lot more money than I thought I was. So that was kind of a little disappointment for me, but now I know in the future. So when I do go next time, it's got to save up money. I guess at every convention you should probably do that anyway, but whatever.
Yeah, that's kind of the rule now.
A little bit, right? So so that would happen this past weekend. A lot of cool stuff got announced for Star Wars. That we could probably go into, but that's not the whole topic of this podcast. Essentially,
That would we'll turn into the Way of the Skywalker,
the Way of the Force or something.
Way of the Force podcast in a minute.
So so a lot of stuff got announced for Star Wars movies and just Star Wars in general. But a big thing that got announced was for the parks as well. Star Tours is going to feature new scenes in 2024.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised. I really thought
Yeah.
I thought Star Tours was kind of just going to sit there.
Me too.
And the fact that they're updating this is kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, and I kind of goes to show you, I guess it's like they're really gonna push this thing till till it's on its last life,
Mm-hmm.
or
This is
or till something happens, which is funny because you also kind of thought I kind of thought maybe they'd update something with Smuggler's Run because that's a computer, you could get some new missions on that. I feel like, and that would kind of spice it up.
They need to.
Yeah,
they need to do that too.
But I mean, they're making a movie about the Mandalorian. They're making a new trilogies, old trilogies. So I wonder. I don't know if they're gonna do it with the stuff that happens before the prequels and all that stuff. But I mean, they put new stuff in for the sequel trilogy. So I wonder if with this new stuff that they're gonna be making in the future, past the Skywalker saga, I wonder if that's also gonna be slotted into Star Tours as well.
I think, yeah. I mean, they've got to, because they promoted the sequel trilogy like crazy on Star Tours.
Yeah.
I mean, every time a new movie came out, they had somebody or something.
And it was set to that destination for a good couple months. There was no randomizer on that. I guess the first one was random, and then the second destination would always be like a sequel movie that just came out.
Right.
And then when Rise of Skywalker came out, I believe it actually was like it was a set thing for a while. The beginning was set, and the ending was set for a couple months. But they haven't.
Which I loved that.
I did too. That was actually really cool. I actually really enjoyed that, and it felt like it gave Star Tours new life, which is funny. That we just talked about. They're gonna do it till it's on its last life, but
but
um, they haven't actually said what was gonna be the scenes. But we know it's gonna be from the TV shows. They've already said it's gonna be from TV shows. We don't
Yeah.
know what scene it's gonna be, but obviously the Mandalorian is gonna be in there some way, shape, or form. Um,
yeah, honestly,
'cause you
that should be
can't.
you can't not have. That's the
Yeah.
biggest thing that's come out. That probably the Mandalorian, I think, is probably a bigger deal than at least the last two
Yes. Yeah.
sequel trilogy movies.
Yeah.
That's a much bigger deal.
100%.
So
With the with the inception of Grogu and all this stuff, the popularity of Grogu, you can expect him to make an appearance on Star Tours.
and not only that, but
Pedro Pascal.
oh, Pedro Pascal. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, he's gonna be on there for sure. He's gonna probably be on the side screen over here. But I don't see how they wouldn't do that. And they said it's gonna be multiple scenes, so it's not gonna probably just be one scene. If it is, it's gonna be a little disappointing. Um, but yeah, that'll be updated in 2024, so that's kind of cool. Because it gives something like, again, we thought Star Tours was kind of dead. I'm hoping that they were gonna do something for Smuggler's Run. Hopefully they do in the future, because that would be cool to have some new missions.
they need. Yeah, I'm so tired of searching for coaxium.
Right?
I'm done.
I like. Give me a randomizer. Give me a randomizer. I don't care if I get the coaxium again, but give me a randomizer.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we. I don't. Yeah. We went on it the last time, and I was like, no wonder I don't go on this thing. I'm
Yeah, because there's only. I
tired of
mean,
this.
there's some different outcomes you can get, but that's you can only get. I mean, you can only get those so many times. It's like
Exactly.
before
Yeah.
it's like.
And sometimes before it gets to be too much, and
Yeah.
sometimes I'm going on. Like the last time we went on it, I guess that was the first time I really noticed what was going on, because usually I'm just sitting there pressing either the gunner buttons or I'm just flipping the switches in the back there. But
Yeah.
I was watching this and I'm like, and we were both pilots, and I'm
Yeah.
like moving this thing, and I'm like, I don't know where I'm at or what's going on. It just was explosions and
Yeah. I mean, it's cool the
Winnie the
first couple
Pooh's
of
yelling at
times.
me to go and
Jim Cum. It's really
Jim
cool.
Cummings.
It's really cool to be kind of doing it, because it's like, I mean, it's a video game essentially, so you get to actually
Right.
pilot it, which I think is really cool. It's pretty cool the first couple times, but then afterwards you're kind of like, well, I did that. I think we'll skip this one for now. But I do think they
And
need
that
to get some new ones in there.
they do, and I mean that's the perfect attraction for it, and such a great. I mean, the setup of it is great. I mean,
Yeah,
Smuggler's Run is, but
yeah,
yeah, you gotta.
that definitely has more potential than Star Tours, to be honest.
It does, yeah, because with Star Tours, it's
There's
it's a
no
show. I
interactive.
mean,
Yeah, there's no interactive feature
right.
with that.
I just want Grogu to appear in the little transmission thing and just have
Oh, I'm sure he will.
that interact.
He's literally not gonna say anything. You're gonna hear is, oh, just everybody that's just like.
Exactly.
But that was what happened this past weekend with Star Wars Celebration. Maybe we'll talk about what happened in the other, and actually like what happened throughout the whole thing. Maybe we'll talk about what got announced, but at least not today. At least
Yeah,
not
I mean,
today.
Visions was announced. There's a
Vision season
second season
2.
coming out.
Like I said, whole new slew of movies is coming out. So a whole lot of things coming out. It's a good time to be a Star Wars fan. Let me tell you.
It is. I mean, yeah. I thought honestly that Star Wars was gonna kind of go by the wayside for a while.
No, man. I guess Lucasfilm is hands on with Star Wars. That's gonna be what they're gonna be doing for a while.
Well, it's all they got now that Indiana Jones is in the books after this summer.
I'm excited for that one.
And yeah, I can't
fun.
wait for a sequel to the new movies and stuff. So yeah.
So
well, that was interesting.
Yeah, it was cool news, unexpected news, but cool news.
That was, yeah. It kind of brought me back to like when we were in like 2010 or something like that, when they would like announce that it's gonna have this Matrix thing, and you're gonna be able to, and you're like, oh, that's so cool, and this kind of felt like that a little bit, but
a little nice.
We'll see how it looks. Yeah. Now, do we want to talk about the other big news? I think this is big, especially the closure of town.
Yeah. So, for your Disneyland locals out there, Downtown Disney. This wasn't announced on the Parks blog or anything. This was kind of something that just kind of they. At least I don't think it was announced in the Parks blog. I didn't see
No,
anything.
I don't think so. I didn't see anything either.
They just kind of they've been working on. I mean, this has been they've been working on this for a long time anyway. So it was we kind of knew this was coming anyway. But um, they finally changed Jazz Kitchen to be what it's gonna look like in the concept art now. So it is a lot more sleek and modern. They changed it very fast, actually. Um,
Yeah.
which is kind of insane. Because I remember going there and they were just kind of working on the top, and the bottom was like this, like it's so weird to like, cause the way it was, the way it looked and everything looks completely different than how it looks now. With this
They,
new modern version.
yeah, they
So
definitely took all that like New Orleans Bourbon Street look and just stripped it to its bare
it's yeah,
bones.
yeah, it's really weird now, kind of to be honest with you. I don't know how I feel about it. Um, it's just
Well,
weird.
I mean, honestly, well, you know me, I'm mad about
The
the
saxophone,
saxophone sign
saxophone's
because
gone
for me, for some reason, saxophone's gone, and for some reason, that is like what I think of
for Jazz Kitchen.
when I thought of downtown Disney was that because you could see it from the road and
Yeah,
all that.
you could.
Um, I know every Disney podcast has this discussion, and we're gonna add to it, but it, there's not. Why are all the details going away? I don't understand this. Why are we simplifying so much of this stuff and modernizing? I don't know. I go to Disney for an experience. I want the details and the layer and layer. So
Yeah.
if I'm gonna sit in a kitchen in a restaurant that's themed to New Orleans, kind of want it to look like I'm in New Orleans. I mean, I want an experience, is what I'm saying, and
Yeah,
I
and
don't know if this new version is going to do
they had live didn't they have a live band there?
that. Yeah,
Yeah. I don't even
just
know if
like
that's
a
still a thing, to be honest. Uh
it should be, it needs to be because it's too expensive to just go there for the
yeah, I've actually never
you gotta
sat
pay
down
more for it.
and eaten in there. Like we'll probably do it now. I'm sure
Mhm.
we'll probably go and do it, but
Well, that was the first restaurant I ate at after COVID
oh
when the
really?
parks reopened. I went there. I mean, we just got dessert. We just got beignets because
Hmm.
we wanted them, uh, but yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
actually think
nice. It's a nice place to sit, but
I think Jazz Kitchen Express is gone now actually too.
it's gone for the moment, but they
Oh
are
okay.
gonna bring it back.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
but
oof.
I want to say they're gonna simplify the menu, and it's just
I'd
gonna be
imagine.
yeah,
I'd
which is a
imagine.
bummer because they had the po' boys and the gumbo and all that stuff
They
in
had
there.
I've eaten from the Express Kitchen. Yeah, I've eaten from the Express Kitchen.
Mhm.
It was really good food. Still a little bit pricey, but it was pretty good. Um, but that's not the biggest thing that we're kind of heartbroken about. It that was kind of like a given. We knew that was coming. We were prepared for that. But I didn't know. Sprinkles is closed. It literally
Uh,
it's closed down. It has a sign on it that says something new and exciting coming or something like that. And it's it sucks, man, because we were talking about that right before we started recording. It was Sprinkles had some good desserts, man.
it did, and I'm not a cupcake person, but that was a place where you're like, this is a good cupcake. I'm gonna, sure, I gotta, there's probably a little expensive,
I
but
think they also had stuff for dogs. Um, which is funny. Every time we would go,
yeah,
sometimes we'd bring my dogs. Me and my family would get like cupcakes for them and stuff like that. That was
I
like,
didn't know that.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's sprinkles. I could be wrong because I never went to go get it. They did, but I'm pretty sure it was sprinkles.
Well,
But I
I'd
mean,
imagine Sprinkle seems like a place that would have.
it's just it sucks, man. Because I mean, they had good cupcakes, good desserts. It's and they didn't even really give it like they didn't tell anybody.
No, and this is what they've done because they did this with like
The home store too.
Earl's Sandwich. Yeah, the home store closed automatically, just kind of out of the blue. It seemed like the Wonder Gallery got moved all of a sudden, and I
Yeah,
don't know. It just seems really odd how it's working. I'm really surprised because I thought Sprinkles was kind of one of those things because Disney World still
yeah.
has their Sprinkle store. So I don't know. Now here's the question I have for you. Do you think because there's only two other stores on that little block area. You got Pele, the soccer store,
Yeah.
and you've got the Love Pop thing. So are those next? Do you think?
My
Is
personal
this
opinion,
is Qatar gonna?
Pele is definitely not going anywhere. They just got that. They just got Pele, so I don't think Pele is going to go anywhere. Love Pop. I don't know about you or anybody else out there personally, but I'm not a big envelope kind of card guy, pop up card guy.
Oh,
So
I will.
that doesn't really do it for me. So I mean that can go. That's fine. Me personally,
I'm gonna.
but
I'm gonna tell you, and I'm looking for it on the other table. It's not over there, but my girlfriend for Valentine's Day got me a card from there.
oh,
The
oh,
up one. It is really cool. That being said, when we walked in, those 4 employees looked so happy that somebody was in there. And then when we left and didn't buy anything, there was just the sad.
there's
Because we
usually
were probably like one of 10
there's usually
people that showed
nobody
up that
in
day.
there. It's crazy.
Right.
Um, it's just like it's just cards. It's just cards.
Right. I mean, I'm not at downtown Disney to go shopping for greeting cards, you know. That's I think the issue.
So I mean,
But Disney's kind of
I don't know.
yeah. Disney's kind of always had that problem though. It with keeping like these kinds of stores
Yeah,
around,
yeah,
which is weird because like Universal doesn't have this kind of problem. Because you can go to City Walk here in Hollywood and they can keep those kinds of stores and stuff. Um,
yeah,
I mean, definitely the food locations do a heck of a lot better than the Dodger
yeah,
team store or something like that. But
yeah. You got Bubba Gump up there. That's taking in a lot of revenue, but yeah, I don't know, man.
all
It's depressing.
it is, and I know it's gonna turn out well and stuff, but at this moment, I'm kind of like I loved the home store, and so that's kind of a bummer that's gone. Sprinkles is gone.
Yeah.
So hopefully something comes in there. It's interesting.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, hopefully. But we're gonna shift a little bit, and we're gonna go towards. Oh my God, the hiccups are back. Jesus.
Oh no.
We're gonna go to um. Well, I guess we'll head to DCA.
Let's go over there to California Adventure and
Yeah, the Hyperion Theater, and our beloved Rogers the musical. God
do.
damn it.
Well, you want me to take it here?
No, go ahead. Yeah, take it from here, please.
Yeah. Okay. So they announced that it was going to be opening June 30th, the new Rogers musical, and they said it's going to be about 30 minutes, a 30-minute show. They already replaced the marquee to feature the thing.
Yeah,
I kind of like it
I
because
can
it
do
does
it all
have that.
day.
Yeah, it has that nice feeling of kind of like when you're like a Broadway, like the way they would put the
Yeah.
marquees up
Oh,
and stuff
yeah.
like that. It's like that same kind of graphic look. Yeah. Still wish there was something in the budget for redoing the whole lobby and stuff. I hate having to go up the fire escape to get into this luxurious theater, but I don't know. That's a pet peeve of mine, but it's opening up. Sounds People are excited for this. This is
Yeah.
I guess I'm not on the Marvel train
I
quite
mean,
like other people
well,
are, 'cause
neither am
they're
I. Cause yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, like, well, we're gonna watch it regardless, right? But like,
right. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I no, that's just there's so many other things that I thought could have been better utilized in that space than that, but that's just me. That's just me.
I
But
mean, we'll see. I mean,
I guess it's gonna be running Monday through Saturday is the thing.
oh, is that what they said?
Monday through Saturday, I believe most weeks. Uh,
Okay.
so we'll see. I don't know how long it's gonna be there. They did say like a limited time thing, so clearly
Yeah.
it's not staying, which is nice, but limited time could be anywhere from like
So,
a year now to like.
yeah. Do we remember how many times Aladdin was going to be going away in favor of something else? There's a lot going on right now, bro. But
Yeah.
yeah, I could see because I mean Aladdin was supposed to go away and they were going to put in Toy Story from the cruise ships. That didn't happen. Then Frozen came in, and then COVID kind of threw a wrench in there. But yeah, I would I those productions they do are so big over there. I can't imagine them going and saying, "Well, let's
Scrap
put
it
all this
after like
money
two
and stuff into
months.
it," and
Yeah.
it's right. So this is when they say limited time, it's probably like 2 years, I would say,
Yeah.
or at least until something else comes along. But if what we saw on Twitter is true from former Imagineer Jim Scholl, he posted something about kind of what the future of Avengers Campus looks like. It might, I mean, you kind of have to keep something like that, like
Yeah.
Rogers, there
Yeah.
if you're going to keep that
Hollywood
expansion plan.
Hollywood Land is kind of not becoming Hollywood Land anymore.
Yeah,
Um,
slowly.
it's weird. It's weird.
It is, and I mean, we've known because Phase Two that was supposed to get redone. They were supposed to redo all that in Phase Two of thing, and that was supposed to be done like around 2015, I want to say.
Yeah.
And then that just never happened, and then Avengers Campus got built. But I mean, I would love to see what they do with that. And
Me
but if
too.
Rogers is temporary. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to see. I hope it's good. I imagine it will be just because you said
I think so.
like you said the productions on that are usually pretty well done and pretty high. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. But
Yeah. I mean, even Frozen was good too. That was a
I actually
good.
never got to see that. So
That's a bummer because I mean, I'm not a Frozen guy, but it was good. It was the production value was good.
hmm.
That's what I
Well,
and
we're gonna finally take it to our last news story here of today. That actually is literally happened today. Uh,
Mhm.
Again, this is for your Disneyland locals. Um, Annual passes came back today.
Yes, yep. And if you're one of those people who wanted to get one, uh, hang in there. Don't worry, it's only going to be an hour more.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
it was crazy, man. It was like what they went. You can get in the queue like at 9 o'clock or something like that, right? It was like
It was right
9:06
at
or
nine
something.
o'clock.
Yeah,
Yeah. Mhm.
and like people were saying like at 10:30 they were still moved like not even a quarter of the way.
Yeah.
So
It's, I mean, luckily I got mine renewed. What was it, September?
mhm.
And I mean, I waited, uh, God, it was like 5 hours. I remember it was a long, long time. So, and that was just to renew. So I can't imagine how long and crazy it was for all that. But
Yeah,
the problem is well, they scare the crud out of people because they're like, at the bottom it says, just because you're in the queue doesn't mean you'll have access to it, and what pass you want may be sold out and stuff like that. So that's what creates this anxiety in people that like, well, we gotta go and
yeah,
get this now.
yeah.
So
It's crazy. But all four keys were available: Enchant Key, Imagine Key if you're Southern California. Um, was it Enchant Key, Dream Key? Is it Dream Key?
yeah,
And then
dream, believe,
Believe, yeah.
believe and dream.
All those keys were available to buy. No reports of them selling out yet. Um, and hopefully it's not one of those things where Disney's like, oh, all right, we're gonna flick it on. All right, it's been 12 hours, it's been 24 hours. Flick it off. We're no more.
We got rid of the Disney Vault thing with the DVDs and the VHSs like years ago. We don't need this for annual passes too. Please don't.
We'll see, man. We'll see, because lately at this rate, that's how it's been kind of going.
Right, I know, and
But that was
it,
also under Chapek, so we'll see.
it's true, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Well,
I mean, I understand the problems. If they get rid of the reservation system, if they allow Magic Key to just be bought at any time,
yeah,
you're going to have what you had in 2019 where it was just insane and you just couldn't
yeah,
go through the parks and stuff like that. So I understand the problem, but at the same time, you're like, it, it's such a hassle.
it is.
Uh,
It is.
such a hassle.
But
So I'm
those
glad
were
it's open if you
me
want it.
too. Me too. It's just good because it gives hope for it being around for a little bit. So hopefully we'll see. But that's been the news for this week anyway. Very excited about it. Excited, not so excited about some stuff, but um, I'm looking forward to Star Tours, man. It's gonna be cool. That's gonna
Yeah,
be
give
cool.
me a reason to go back on
Right? Yeah. So,
after so long.
but
Yeah,
I guess now we're gonna switch to our main topic. Yeah.
yeah. And so we realized kind of early on, just recently, we're like, we never really explained where we got this love for Disney parks and why it's stayed with us for so long.
Yeah.
So we kind of wanted to talk about where it all started
Mhm.
and then kind of lead into why we
Started this channel.
started this.
Well, this channel
So
and then / podcast because if you listen on
channel
Spotify, but yeah,
social media, you're
yeah,
on there. So Armando, do you want to start and kind
yeah.
of go because you have a good story, I think.
Well,
What?
so this is actually it's kind of funny. I don't know if anybody else shares this sentiment, but we've had annual passes since I was a little kid, um, and we used to go quite often to the point where my mother would actually would take me out of school sometimes. She would like literally like take my brother and sister and me out of school, and we would go to Disneyland. Like I would literally only be in school for like an hour, and then we would just go. So that was always kind of fun. We always get breakfast, so it's kind of a tradition that I have now, and you've been a part of it. You know this tradition now.
I do. I enjoy it a lot.
Where we get McDonald's on the way there. So that's always been kind of like a tradition. That's always kind of been since I was little. But yeah, we kind of like would go a lot, and then eventually it got to a point where we were going almost every week. And I don't know. I want to say maybe I was about nine or so at this time, I think. And it was cool. I mean, because we were going to Disneyland all the time, but I don't know. Something inside me was like, I don't. I've been there so many times, more than I can count, on like both fingers, more than I can count on, like my toes and stuff like that. But I got to a point where I was just like, I don't really want to go anymore. Like it's run its course for me, right? And so there'd be times where she's like, "You want to go to Disneyland? You want to go to Disneyland?" I'm like, "No, I think I'd rather just stay home." Or there'd be times where she'd be like, "Do you want to go to Disneyland instead of school?" And I'd be like, "No, I'd actually rather go to school." And that's not to say I like school. I hated school. But so that kind of like got to a point like where I just didn't want to go anymore. I don't know why that was, to be honest with you. I can't really pinpoint on anything. It wasn't that I was tired of like I hated Disneyland or anything. I hated Disney. It was nothing. Had nothing to do with that. I just kind of got tired of going like all the time, you know.
Right.
So that was kind of like, I want to say, sorry about that. I was kind of like I think 2011 like ish. So I want to say fast forward to about 2014. It was about 3 years there where I didn't really go to the parks that much. I think I'd maybe went once a year, if that. So I was not going as much as I used to. And I think something like at that time, because we would also go to Universal like a lot more. I would go to Universal a lot more and stuff like that. And it kind of like flipped a switch to me where I was like, well, like this is kind of Universal's kind of boring. There's not much to do. You can do it all in like 2 hours, really. If there's no lines on it, you can literally finish the park in 2 hours. So I was like, I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't really like to do this anymore. I think I was just kind of done with theme parks for a little bit, and I don't know. Like, it's something like I literally have no idea what did for me. But I just had this like energy to like go to Disneyland all of a sudden, and I just like was literally like just like I want to go, I want to go, I want to go, I want to go. So we didn't actually end up going. Like when I started becoming like when I started to like actually like Disneyland again, when I started to enjoy going again, we weren't going as much as we used to when I was little. Um, so like I would kind of have to like I didn't have my own pass at the time. So I was kind of like I wasn't able to go, and like obviously I wasn't able to drive myself, so I had to kind of wait whenever everybody else wanted to go. So it was kind of it was kind of hard at that point, and I was like, man, I really want to go, but I can't. Um, I just thought it was kind of funny that it came full circle like that, and yeah, it was really weird, but I don't know that it just kind of like got to a point where I was like, Disney was such a big part of my childhood, and like it's always been like ever since I was little. My mom's loved it, my family's loved it, so like I just kind of grew up with Disney, and I don't know, like I just kind of like more so this year. Well, I guess last year being 2022, and I guess this year kind of too with Wondrous. It's just been kind of like it's just felt like being a little kid again recently. Um, and that's just what I think everybody kind of loves about Disneyland. That really loves Disneyland is it makes you feel like a child again. And it's really nice feeling because you feel like you're home. You really do. And there's times where you're having a bad day or something, and you're just like, I just want to go to the park because that's just like an escape. It's a safe haven. And it's just really nice, really nice. But I think like recently is when I started like really just getting like I need to go. Like I need to go. I have to go. It's been like just like so therapeutic for me, I guess. And it's weird. I don't know how that just kind of happened. It just kind of happened. I just kind of
Yeah.
started like just getting that itch to go. And I'm glad I did. Like I don't hate it at all. Honestly, I don't. I mean, we have a channel about for
Yes.
this.
Yeah.
Um, and it's been really nice to kind of get reinvigorated with that, and to kind of see like to look back on it and be like, wow, like I really hated going like at a certain point in my life, and it was crazy, and it wasn't, again, it had nothing to do with Disney. It was just a me thing. Like I just didn't want to go. Um,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, and I'm now I'm like I would say healthily, like health. I don't even know if that's a word, but it's a healthy obsession, right? I
Yeah.
don't think it's a bad obsession.
Yeah.
Um,
No, as long as you take your medication, there would be no harm to anybody.
I think it's a healthy obsession for sure. But
Yeah.
I know there's times where I annoy everybody about it sometimes. Like where I'm like, I gotta go. I love Disney, like all this stuff, but it's just something that's really, I feel like a child again, and it's just, it feels close to home. It feels close to me being a child again because I grew up with Disney so much. We literally had Disney like stuff around the house. We had like a lot of stuff, and my mom used to work at the Disney store, so we would have like plushes and stuff like that. So there's a whole thing, and it was just it makes me feel like a child again, and I think that's really like why I really love Disney, and and especially now. But I mean,
Mm.
like you saw it, man. At Wondrous, there's just so much nostalgic
Yeah.
things. I was a
Oh yeah.
train wreck, man. My eyes were red. It was like I was like freaking like I had seen someone died. Like it
Yeah.
was
It
it
was.
was it was a lot. So it's really, I've really like become like, I guess, reintroduced to this kind of like is a good word for it. I feel like I was reintroduced to Disney, um,
Yeah. I mean,
and it was just kind of, it was kind
I
of crazy.
I definitely agree with you on that. But for me, it was the 60th,
Hmm.
where I was like, oh, I've been missing out, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, we kind of have a similar story in the sense of the how we both got started. I mean, my parents took me, well, I was really young.
Hmm.
I mean, even before California Adventure, I think that was my first time. So
Wow.
it was just Disneyland. and we only went on two rides because I was into Pirates and Peter Pan. So my parents literally took me on Peter Pan and Pirates of the Caribbean, and we
Mm.
left. I think we left after that. So, because my parents didn't grow up with that like we got to go to the parks kind
Yeah.
of thing. They didn't live near a Disney park. Um, both my parents did go to Disney World in the first year,
Oh, oh.
but they weren't like it wasn't a part of their life.
Yeah.
And for some reason, just because Southern California, and that's kind of what you do, you're
It's
either
true.
a Knott's Berry Farm family or you're a Disney family, I feel like. Um, and so I remember going and when I was a kid, it was all about the characters
Yeah.
and that kind of thing. And then 2005 is where it changed. And for me, it was like just kind of like a normal thing. It was like any kid would. You
Yeah.
love going to the parks and all that stuff like that. During the happiest celebration or the happiest homecoming on Earth, the 50th anniversary, they had the Steve Martin film of the Disneyland first 50 magical years, I think it was what it called.
Hmm.
And it kind of went through the history of Disneyland, and that just like that captivated me. Seeing like what Tomorrowland used to look like back in the day,
Yeah,
and
it's crazy.
knowing that there were like pack mules and stuff like that, that just wowed me as a kid. And so I was like, I remember just getting hooked on that. And my mom bought me. Did you ever read this book, Mouse Tales?
I don't think
It's
so.
it's I want to um okay, I have this one. Ooh. This is his other book. This is the one about Disney World,
Hmm.
but it's David Cohen, his book that he did.
Oh, okay.
But she read that to me when I was a kid. I mean, I was like, 7, 8, 9 years old, and she cut a lot of stuff out because I read through it like recently. There's a lot in there that's not very child friendly. But I just started getting interested in like who designed this stuff. How
Yeah.
did this get built? I was really fascinated with like the technology behind it. Like how do the ghosts in the ballroom work? And
Yeah.
like that really was what it was different. And it changed my whole perspective. And so I went from being a kid who's just like, I want to see the characters and ride the rides to how did they do this?
Yeah.
And then as I got older, started figuring out like who's John Hinch and Marty Sklar and Mark Davis. And then I started getting more into the history of it. And then I never had like a moment where like I just don't want to go to the parks. I don't want to do like I never had that detachment from it. It just stayed with me so much so. But then it became like a launching point
Hmm.
for me for other things. So like for me, I have an English degree, so for me it's all I love writing and stuff like that, and that came from Disney because I when I was a little kid I used to basically write fan fiction, I guess is
Yeah.
what it would be. So I would like explain like why you fall out the attic, and I would write a story about the Haunted Mansion or whatever.
Yeah.
And then my love of architecture and stuff kind of came from that, studying the castles, and we went to Disney World when I was younger, and so that kind of added to it. And then 2015 with the 60th,
Yeah.
it was that same thing you said about Wondrous and stuff like that. Totally changed, and I was like, oh, and it became more like I just want to be there all the time
Yeah.
and stuff. And then I became an adult, and
Yeah.
I
That
just
sucks.
couldn't have. I know,
You're like,
and I couldn't afford the passes anymore. Like
yeah.
I couldn't afford a pass; it just wasn't in the cards. I was going to school and all that stuff, so I had to step away. I had to go away from Disney, and I realized how there was a gap in there.
Yeah.
Uh, that you that something really felt like it was missing, and then in 2018, after being able to make money, enough money to afford a pass, I got one, and I I remember distinctly sitting at Hungry Bear with a friend of mine, and I was like, the Mark Twain went by, and I was like, this is home, and I was like, I'm never not gonna have a pass,
Yeah.
and I've kept one ever since. I've gone. I took my girlfriend who had no like Disneyland for her was not a thing.
Yeah.
They went once a year, if that, and I was like, part of the relationship is Disneyland.
You have to love
You
Disneyland.
have to you have to, or at least just acknowledge it and just respect that I'm
Yeah.
crazy about it. And she was on board, and now she is probably a bigger, like she loves going to the parks probably just as much, if not more sometimes, than me. Um, but yeah, that was kind of the story for me. It's just always been there, and it's just changed. It's just
Mhm.
always evolved for
Yeah,
me,
and I
which
think it's funny because, like you said, like me and you both have that kind of gap year, which I think you kind of need to kind of realize, like, you know, like, yeah, and you kind of take it for granted a little bit, you know, like it's like
right,
one of
yeah,
those things. It's like, well, I mean, we go all the time, like it's like, you know, but it's like, and obviously that's we understand that's a thing that not everybody gets to do, and we understand, you know, we're very lucky that we have passes that we get to go, that we're in a position that we are able to kind of go and as much as we do,
right,
and know as much as we do because we go so much. Um, but it's like once you kind of like realize, like, it's like, wow, like I really took this for granted, like I genuinely miss this. Then I think it kind of like comes full circle, and you're like, wow, like I need to be here, and
yeah,
I need to kind of take it all in and be like, let's just take one step at a time.
right. And I mean, there was. It's like you said. It's like sometimes you just have a bad day, and you're like, I gotta go to the parks,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, I had
And
plenty of those working for my last job. I remember
oh,
that one.
I know. I don't. Yeah. So I definitely, and I mean, I remember. I mean, this is gonna be kind of sad, but when my grandma was such a big part of my life,
Mhm.
and she kind of instilled that love of Disney. And when she passed away, I mean, the first thing I did is I went to the parks, and I just remember just sitting there and just being like, it just was a very cathartic place, you know.
Yeah.
And so I definitely see that and I think people who aren't Disney fans who don't get it, it's hard to explain to them because you're kind of like it's so second nature to
Yeah.
us to have to go and say, well, there's something more here. It's not about rides and it's more than that.
Yeah.
There is John Hinch called it the architecture of reassurance, that because Disneyland's clean, that people are friendly, you can talk to a stranger on the street and not be like, you know, told to step off or whatever.
Yeah.
That just all of those things come together and you have this reassurance. You feel like everything's going to be okay with the world because you're here,
Yeah.
you know? And I think that's really translates. If you know,
100%. I do,
especially
yeah,
for
and I
us.
think that's, yeah, that I'm gonna consider that's a big part of it, and it's just there's a reassurance when you just go and you're just like, this is, and it's a big part of why I like to go in the daytime, because I mean, I've explained this to you. I know recently in the past you haven't done a morning Disney session, like, you know,
Never. Yeah, it's so hard for me to do that.
and that's practically what I do all the time whenever I go. It's 7 a.m., if not 9 a.m. to almost closing, if not closing. I've done
Yeah.
it. We've done it like that ever since I was little, and that's because that stems back from when my mom would go. They would, you know, they didn't have enough money to go all the time when she was little, so they would go once a year. They'd save up their money, and my grandma would take them, and she said, since they would only go about once a year or so, they would go in the morning all the way through to closing, and they would get one item of their choosing and all that stuff. But so that just kind of was a thing that my mom did with us, and it's just kind of a thing I do now, that I'm just kind of like it. I'm a little. I'll say this. It sounds a little weird. I'm a little bit of a snob when it comes to Disneyland in the morning. If it's like 1 o'clock and someone's like, let's go to Disneyland, I'm like, what's the point? Like, it's already 1 o'clock. We're not gonna get there till like almost like 2:33. Like, what's the point? There's no point in going anymore, right? So
See, yeah, I'm the exact opposite because I will literally leave work at, if I get off at 3, I'm like, I'm going.
yeah.
Even if I got 8 hours, maybe I can.
So I mean, like, for me, it's a little harder to get me to go. I'll go, but it's a little bit harder to get me to go.
Mhm.
But I mean, it's just because, I mean, I like the morning atmosphere, dude. I do, because it's like you have when you're there, you're like, it's, you know, most of the time in California, blue sky, you know, not no clouds or whatever. It's just bright and sunny. Everything, you know, the music and all that. So everybody just looks so happy, and you're just kind of like, you know, that I have the whole day here, and I know I have the whole day
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Oh, and in the morning, everything's like it just feels fresher.
Yeah.
I don't know. Everything's like clean. It's just ready for the day. The cast members are happier because they haven't, you haven't had to deal with all the
Yeah.
rude guests from wherever. And so yeah, it definitely has that feeling. And I mean, this is a Southern California thing, but gosh, being in Orange County in the morning, there's like a crispness. I don't know, just because it's near the water or something, the ocean. It just feels
The atmosphere is different for sure. Yeah.
yeah.
It's
And that's
really weird.
yeah. And see, my family was not a get up in the morning type of thing. We were, and it's not that we were just like we we can never get
I get it,
going.
man. I understand. It's
Yeah.
Disney is the only thing that can get me up early and actually like enjoy waking up early.
Right, yeah. And that's the thing. I remember for one of my birthdays, I think it was like my 10th birthday. I was like, they're like, what do you want for your birthday? I was like, I just want to go and rope drop Disneyland. And so we got a hotel. They got us a hotel and we stayed there. And sure enough, we went. We didn't go rope drop, but we went like 9 o'clock or something like that. And yeah, I was like, wait, there's cars that go up and down Main Street? Because by the time we got
Yeah,
there,
they're always
they were
done.
already off.
Yeah.
I was like, there's horses? What?
So.
But yeah, it's a and there is I mean, I do love the nighttime, but yeah, like you said, it does kind of feel a little sad because you're like, oh, it's almost
Yeah,
the day's almost over and stuff.
But
But yeah, no, it's a great experience. I think this is kind of the reason why we started this. Is just
yeah, it's
gotta
and mind you, we haven't known each other for very long, to be honest.
yeah.
We met each other at a job, and I mean, like I think we talked about it a little bit, but if not, we'll go into it again. I mean, we literally were. I mean, we had talked to each other. We were like, you know, friends and everything, but we weren't like actively talking to each other at work, right? It was kind of
Right.
I mean, one, we were always busy. Two, it was just kind of like, it's just like we just didn't really talk to each other that much. But like we would, you know,
Like
kind of joke around and stuff like that. But like it wasn't like an active, you know, talking.
right, and certainly not about Disney. We didn't.
No,
We didn't talk about that.
And I had gone with one of our work friends to Disneyland, and you know, she was like, oh, like we should eat at, you know, Carnation Cafe, like Steve said, it's really good. And I was like, oh, okay, like yeah, we'll eat that. And then I was like, oh, like I was like, Steve recommended this place, and she was like, yeah. He was like, apparently he goes a lot, and I was like, really? And I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, you know, I came back the next day, and I was like, oh, Steve, by the way, Carnation Cafe, dude, great pick. Like it was solid there, you know. And
I remember this, yeah.
and we were just kind of like, and then like, I think I asked you like, oh, like you go like a lot. You're like, oh yeah, I go like all the time. And I was like, okay, all right, nice. You know, like I'm like, but I hadn't, but still at that point it didn't click. I was like, oh, he doesn't like it like me. You know, it was like he just likes
Yeah.
to go. So I was like, oh, okay. And I think we were talking about. I think I was going to go to Disneyland again, and I think you had caught me or something. And we started talking about Galaxy's Edge, and the blue milk, green milk, and all that stuff. And I think
That's right. Oh man.
I think the sour blue milk thing had just dropped. I think it had just come out, and we were talking about it. And you're like, oh yeah, how is it? And I was like, it's a little weird, you know. It's like, oh god, that was a loud one. That was a loud one. I was like, that was goofy level loud. Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh man. So embarrassing.
That's a reaction to the sour blue milk there. That's
But I was like, yeah, it's a little weird, you know. It's not. To this day, I still don't even know how to describe the taste. It's really weird. But
yeah.
we were talking. Oh, not bad for you, huh?
I don't know. I'll take the regular one, but
but
I don't even.
I don't even remember. Like we were just like kind of talking about that though, and we were like, oh, like, and we just kind of talked back and forth. I think you started talking about like Ronto roasters and all that stuff.
Yeah,
and I was like, I was like, oh, it's not for me. All right, that's fine. I was like, you know, and we started talking about that. I think that was pretty. I think we had. I mean, you had just kind of gotten there. I was waiting to clock in, I think, and you had only been an hour into your shift, I think, at the time. And D23 was coming. It was
Yeah.
it had been announced.
Yeah, they had just released the tickets, I think.
Yeah.
Or they would just release the day they were going to release the tickets.
It was either that or it was the day. I think it was the day. I don't know, something about that. But we were talking about it.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, like, like when it was like, we just started talking about D23, and I don't even remember how we got to that conversation, but we just started talking about it. And you were like, oh yeah, like when's the last time you went? And I was like, oh, 2015. And you were like, oh, dude, that's the last time I went. And it was funny because we were like, oh, like that's super weird, like how we were both at the same place, but we didn't even know. I think we went on the same
Yeah.
day too.
I think so. Yeah. Well, I was there the whole weekend.
Oh yeah, so yeah, I
That's
went
how
on.
crazy
I think
that
I went
was.
on Saturday. I think. So we were like, we started talking about that, and we were just talking about D23 and all that stuff, and how much fun it was and all that stuff in 2015, and we were talking about how, like, like I think I was telling you, like, oh, you're gonna go. You're like, I don't know, like it's just like something like the money or something like that. And you're like, it's cool, but like I don't know, like, my girlfriend's not that into it as much as I am. It's like, and then like, you asked me, am I gonna go? And I was like, why? I was like, I think so. I was like, like maybe, well, but like, it's still, I think this was June and it was in September. So I was like, yeah, it's months down, it's fine. It's maybe, I don't know, we'll see. And I don't know how, but somehow, literally, by the end of our shifts, me and you were like, you know what, I'm gonna go, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go too, Steve. And I was like, I better see you there. And you're like, I was like, you were like, I better see you there. And I was like, yes, we'll see each other there.
Yeah, and that's because it was like, well, we'll just be there.
Yeah,
We'll run into each other.
yeah, we'll bump
Well,
into each other, type of thing.
that day was just so. It was so funny because literally it'd be like you would leave, and then I would come back in, and then you would pass me by, and you'd be like, oh, hey, I hear they're gonna probably do the parks panel on like
Yeah,
Sunday or
we
something. I
literally
was
were
like,
just,
oh, really?
and that entire
It
8 hour
just was.
shift, we were talking about
Yeah.
Disneyland.
Yeah, and it was just like this constant, like we were building each other up the whole time and just
Yeah,
hyping each other up about it.
it was
But
crazy.
yeah, no, that was funny.
And I think the next day we came to work or whatever, and I was like, you know what? I was like, Steve, why don't we just go? Like, why don't we just plan to actually go together? I think that'll be fun. And you were like, yeah, let's do it. So we were originally gonna try to go for all 3 days, but we made the stupid decision of waiting for the panels to get announced for some reason, even though we had already both known that the Parks panel was gonna be Sunday. And we were like, well, let's just see if the panels are gonna be announced again, all that stuff. And they had gotten announced, and I checked that morning of, and I was like, okay, cool. Like, or I think we were gonna go Saturday, Sunday, I think.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, cool. Like, that Saturday's still available. We're good. We can get those. And then I checked back, same night, 7 o'clock. I'm off, and you're at work. And I was like, oh my god. I was like, no way, Saturday sold out. I was like, we gotta get Sunday. We have to get Sunday, like, right now. And I didn't have his number at the time, so I literally called
Oh,
up
that's
work.
right.
I
Yeah.
literally called up work. Someone else answered, and I was like, "Is Steve there? I gotta talk to Steve." And they're like, "Yeah, that's okay." And I was like, "It's Mondo. Let me talk to Steve." And they're like, "Okay." And you come on, and I don't think did they tell you that it was me, or they just said you had a phone
I
call?
think, yeah, and they were all like, I forgot who answered it, and like came to me, and they're like, Armando's on the phone. He says he wants to talk to you. Like they're so confused, and I was like, what? Okay, yeah. I didn't know. I didn't even think about it, but
And
oh my gosh, I do remember that.
I just remember, you're like, hello, and I'm like, Steve, they're gone. Saturday's gone. We gotta get the tickets right now. I was like, we gotta get Sunday. They're gone, dude. They were like, and you're like, oh, like, okay, yeah, like, and I remember I was like, I didn't have your phone number, so I had to call you at work. But I wanted to make sure you had it because we had the plan to go, and it was this whole thing.
Yeah.
And I think it was funny because we think we talked for like 20 minutes at that point too. I didn't even let you do your job, which was funny, but um, and it was like it was a weird thing that just kind of happened. Like, we didn't like
Mhm.
like literally, like, we didn't talk about like going like before or anything. Like, it's literally just like a last minute decision that we made to kind of get the tickets, go together, and kind of just experience it together. Because I mean, we of course we went with both of our girlfriends as well, so it was four of us. But we kind of were both like, well, they don't like really like it as much as we do, and we don't want to like annoy them with everything. So it was kind of like we'll go together, and like type of thing. And so it was a lot of fun. Like we enjoyed that day was so much fun. I mean, we literally woke up. I got my McDonald's. Me and my girlfriend got my McDonald's.
Oh, that's yeah.
You guys were running a little late, so we actually got in line for you
Yeah.
guys for the parks panel.
You did. Thank goodness too, because
it was decent
Steve will
seating.
be. Yeah, well, no, it was really good.
And
But yeah, if there's one thing you found out is that Steve will be late to anything. It doesn't matter how important or whatever.
and
I'll be late to my own funeral. I don't.
I mean, there was I mean, we won't get into the whole thing about D23, but there was like a whole thing like he dropped the ball on reservations for the panel. It was
That's right.
We
That's so
we
that was
bought
so
our
stupid.
we bought our
the whole-
girlfriend's tickets. So he had his girlfriend's, I had my girlfriend's, but like they're kind of like registered together, so it counts as one like registration panel vote, which is weird.
Yeah.
It was a new thing they did this year, for this
It's so
D23. And so like it said, in order for that person to like double your chances in a panel, you had to have them register their own like badge online on stuff. So I was like, okay. I was like, so I had her do that, and it was fun. She did it, and I was like, Steve, I was like, you got to do this in order to like double our chance, because if you get in to the panel, you're allowed to bring a guest, but it's only one guest. So,
Right. Yeah.
and so I was like, it'll give us literally like four chances to get in. Like it'll double it basically. Like we'll be fine. You're like, yeah, okay. You're like, yeah, I got it. Don't worry. And I think the day of the registration comes. I was like, Steve, did you register? And you're like, no, I completely forgot to register. Like to tell her to register and all this stuff.
And I think you texted me like it was probably like 12:01.
Yeah.
And it was like I had to have done it by 11:59.
Something like that. Yeah.
Oh no, I totally forgot. And I'll be honest, I was like, it's like getting a park pass. It's like our tickets are linked.
It was one of
thankfully
the
it
most
worked out.
stressful things, I think, because we had
Tell
to
me
wait
about it.
after we like registered for it, right? We had to wait like 2 weeks, right, to like find out.
Yeah. The whole lottery thing.
Yeah, and it was a 2-week thing, like, and it was like you had to do it by priority you wanted. So the first thing we had to choose was park panel, and then like other stuff, all that stuff. And I think we all of us only got each like one thing. And
Yeah.
my girlfriend was I checked my email that morning. I didn't get in. I had gotten into the Imagineer thing, which we were gonna go to, but it overlapped with the parks panel. So we were like, screw it, parks panel's more important.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we weren't gonna go to that, but I checked. I was like, I get it, and then I texted Steve, and I was like, dude, please get. Like, oh my god, like if you don't get it, like it doesn't matter if my girlfriend gets it, we're already screwed. Like if you don't get it. And thankfully you're like, yeah, I got it. And I was like, dude, I'm freaking out. I was like, I don't have it. My girlfriend's not awake yet. Like I'm freaking out. And I'm like, dude, like, oh my god. So I text my girlfriend. I'm like, did you get in it? She's like, I just woke up. And I'm like, check your email. And she's like, I can't find it. And I was like, check the spam. I was like, check everything. And she's like, I don't know what I'm reading. So she sends me a screenshot. And I was like, oh my god, she got in. Thank God.
Yeah.
So it was a whole thing. Like, we were super excited. That day was just fun in general. But
It was, yeah.
Fast forward to D23. Obviously, we're talking about Disney and all that stuff. We're enjoying everything. And I think fast forward, we had done where we had planned to go to Disneyland, like all four of us.
Mhm.
So we went, and your girlfriend had school, so me and my girlfriend went early, but you guys met us there like around 6:00.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And we only had a bit of a time. We only had a little bit of time in the park. 'Cause I think at that point the park actually closed at 11.
Yeah.
Or it was 11 or
right.
10 or something like that.
I think it was like around 10
Yeah.
or something.
So we had gone on a couple rides, stayed for the majority of it, but we had so much fun though, man. It was a lot of fun. We enjoyed it so much. And like I was like, it's just like so much fun. Like, we just talked about Disney, and the girls talked about the other stuff, but we talked mainly about Disney. And we were like, dude, this is like I was like, this is just like this is so cool. Like, I enjoy having someone else that like kind of gets at the same thing. I kind of gets the same level I do.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
And I was I always kind of wanted to do something like this, you know, like I wanted to start a channel and all that stuff about all this stuff. And I I was home one day and I was like, you know, I was like, I think me and Steve are close enough. I think we've hung out, you know, a little bit. And you know, I was like, yeah, and I know he loves Disney as much, so I was like, I'm just screw it. I was like, if he says no, because you already have another channel. Uh, for those that don't know,
I do,
it's
yeah.
all things architecture. Um,
Hmm.
it's great channel. Please go check it out. It's a
Thank
great
you.
channel. Um,
Thank you. Thank you for the
yeah, of
plug. I
course.
was
Um, yeah, of course, man. It's I mean, really what you do down there is really great. Yeah, your
There's a video
videos.
about Disney.
There
There's
is
a
a video
video
about
on
Disney.
Epcot. So yeah, it's all about
Um,
architecture and stuff, history.
and it's really great. I think videos come out every month, right? Or
That's the
so.
plan.
I
That's the hope.
know we've been pretty busy with this channel, but um, so he already had another channel at the time, and I was like, I don't. I was like, and you had told me when we went to Disney, I'm like, oh, like I'm very passionate about that. Like I like architecture and all that stuff, and I was like, I don't want to take that away from him. I was like, I don't want that to be like, you know, like I don't want him to be like put that on the back burner to prioritize this or whatever. So I was like, I don't know if he's gonna want to do it, and I was like, I don't know if he's got the time for it. I was like, but screw it. And I was like, I'm just gonna ask. So I asked you, and I was like, would you be interested in starting? And I think I just said podcast. I was like, would you just be interested in starting a podcast? And you I think within in like an hour, you're like, yeah, definitely, like one. And I was like,
Well, yeah. I mean, I mean, even before the architecture thing. I mean, I have worked for other like travel agencies and websites and stuff, and I had my own for a while when I first got out of high school and stuff like that. But it was never I'd never had like a YouTube channel, never had like a collaborator or anything like that. And I thought we just had such a way about how we would talk and stuff like that. I was like, when you brought it up, I was like, no, this could actually work because we just had that same level of passion. You know, everybody I would go to the parks with, friends and stuff like that, they just saw it as it was just a theme park kind of thing. It wasn't this like lifestyle thing. It wasn't like this level that we have it, you know. And so that was when you mentioned, I was like, okay, because I thought about it too. When we were at D23, I thought if I was going to do that, I mean, Mondo would be the one that you'd want to have working on it with you because there's like a level there of excitement with it that yeah, yeah. Right, so yeah, yeah. I think around like yeah, because I think we were there for the wonder, yeah, the 100 years, yeah, and I think we kind of were we hadn't bounced ideas around that much at that time. I don't think we had started it yet, but it was after that that was kind of like the let's do this kind of thing. Yeah, that's that's so that's so crazy because I remember because I was talking to her um at a different time and she had mentioned that you like Disney. I was like, oh, huh? I was like, and I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, but he probably is not on the same level as me or something, you know.
yeah,
Uh, but yeah, I do remember that conversation at the Carnation Cafe, and yeah, that's wild.
it was crazy. It was a like I don't know. Like just looking back on it, I'm like, wow, like the amount of steps it took to get here is and so like it's so specific. It's so weird, but I don't
But
know,
so
man.
quick at the same time too. I mean, it was like
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I mean, I had worked. Well, I mean, when I first started working there, I mean, like you said, we only would see each other like a few times or
yeah.
stuff like
Not
that. We
not too
worked
many
in different
times.
parts. Yeah. And so I think really the first time I really like talked to you was when we started talking about the Disney thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe other people feel like this, but when you're at this level of like passion for something like this, talking to other people about it, you kind of hold your cards
Yeah.
too.
Oh
You
yeah.
don't want to reveal it all at the same
Yeah.
time and be
100%.
like, yeah, my room's got a giant picture of a castle. What's your room look like?
Yeah. No, definitely.
So even when you were like, oh yeah, I like the parks and stuff like that, I was like, yeah, well, I mean, everyone likes the
Yeah.
parks,
Right. Yeah. It's like, yeah. That's what I was like. Oh, he just likes to go. He doesn't. He's not like in like But yeah,
Does
it
he
was.
know? Does he know about the joys of Chevron Autopia? I don't think so.
Man, dude, that was I miss those days. But I mean,
You always saw
it's
bird.
you a soy bird. Love that thing.
Oh
Um,
man.
but yeah, it was crazy how it kind of just became what it is today, honestly. And now we are not just a podcast anymore. Now we actually want to do other stuff and are doing other stuff. It's cool, kind of cool circle that just kind of you know kind of came to be. But all of it really started just because again we went at Disneyland and I made this plan to go to D23 with you because I thought it would be kind of cool, and
Hmm.
and obviously I mean obviously it was, and now we got plans for the next D23. But
Yeah.
so um, and hopefully things just keep going up from here and hopefully the channel grows and hopefully we still love Disney as much as we do.
I know, yeah. You don't hopefully none of that burnout that we don't want
Right.
to have to put a video up saying channel update,
Yeah, yeah.
say
So we're done. We hate this park.
decided. Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. How many I mean, yeah. I
so
don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon.
I don't think so either.
If not, I'm gonna have to change the decor in here. A little
Yeah, it'll
it's too
remind you of a dark
expensive.
time.
Yeah, exactly. You know what's funny? Going back to when we first started talking about just Disney and stuff like that, the looks from our coworkers who were
Yeah,
just like, "What are these people
yeah,
talking
and we
about?"
were we were yeah just so passionate about talking about it too. It was funny, like literally again, like you said, like we'd be waiting for something to be finished or something to come up, and in that downtime we were just like, yeah, so I mean, Ronto Roasters. I mean, like, it's cool. Like, I don't know. I'm not really a Ronto Roasters type of guy, but I'll get Plaza Inn. Pizza Planet. You're like, yeah, well, like, yeah, that's a pretty good plate. It's like literally we just continue conversation. Like we'd be like, oh, I'll
Yeah,
be right back, and then just come back and immediately continue the conversation. Like it was crazy.
it was, and it would be like no time had passed, and I think that's the hallmark of like a
Yeah,
true
yeah.
friendship
And I think kind
building
of
there.
kind of looking back at that, I was like, yeah, if we're gonna start something, and yeah, Steve's the person to do it with. We're gonna try to do this, and just kind of see where it goes.
Yeah, yeah, and also, I mean, we got to give props to Mondo with his, I mean, all of the like the technical stuff and all that.
I
This
mean,
is all this is all his
I
stuff.
mean,
So,
I mean,
I
it's
mean,
far from perfect. Trust me, there's still kinks we have to work out and all that stuff. But I mean, I appreciate it. Thank you. I I was very like wanted to get this up and going. So, a lot of the stuff we have is kind of makeshift right now, and but we're
but
trying. We're trying to get
yeah,
better
I mean,
stuff and all that stuff. So
yeah, it is good. I still think it's good. But yeah, I mean, everything. It's nobody wants it clean and perfect right out of the gate
yeah,
because it's gotta build and find its own voice, and I think we're kind of
yeah,
doing that.
yeah. I
We
think so
found,
too.
um, yeah, that's our that's
So
that's the
this
origin stories
Yeah, it's
of
maybe a little bit long-winded, maybe a little bit kind of not what you expected, but that's what it is, and you know, um, honestly, man, it's been fun so far. It's been fun so
Mhm.
far, and I really hope we can just continue to climb, and that level of quality also climbs as well. It's been a lot of fun though, man. I'm really glad we did that D23 trip because I think we would
I
not
know,
have
yeah,
been here if we didn't do that.
it's true. It was a big deal, and I didn't expect that.
No, me neither.
I didn't expect that.
Me neither.
But yeah, no, it was a good time.
Hmm.
And next time we go to the parks, we're gonna
Be
do all
recording
our
and stuff.
vlogs and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're gonna, yeah.
do our
So,
and probably do I think we should probably do a prediction. Hopefully we get into the parks panel again. I hoping.
yeah, hopefully, yeah,
Fingers
I'll know now
crossed.
to split the tickets and make sure that
Fingers crossed we all get in. But yeah, hopefully we get into the parks panel again next year. And I mean, even if we don't, we'll continue. We'll watch a live stream of it. You know, they do it every year. And but we're trying to get a hotel over there. So that way we can kind of just go and we'll probably film before the parks panel, like a couple of days before, maybe Thursday when we get there or something. Maybe we'll film a prediction about where things gonna happen at the parks panel and that stuff, and just do a podcast inside the. We got plans for next D23, so
yeah,
be cool.
so
Be cool.
and yeah, no, we're just getting started.
Yes,
And,
yes, sir.
And if you want to know about the future plans, last week's show we talked about that
Yes,
because
we did.
Disneyland thought there's nothing to report. We're not going to talk about anything. We're not going to announce anything.
We'll hold off
All
for
you-
this week.
Yeah. And so are we ready to
I think
put
so.
this one to bed and stuff?
Think
Well,
so.
yeah. After you talking about the parks, I'm gonna head over there right now. I think I'm just gonna wait until
Right, might as
until
well.
sunrise. I know. Yeah. Well, folks, thanks again, or thanks for listening and watching. And from Armando, I'm Steve, and we'll see you guys next week with another edition of the Way of Magic podcast. See you then, folks. Have a good week.
Hey there, everyone. Thanks for watching this episode of the Way of Magic podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you like our content, don't forget to subscribe and like this episode, and don't forget to turn on notifications for when we upload.
And if you prefer to listen to this podcast instead, you can find the Way of Magic podcast on Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and even Spotify for podcasters. Thanks for listening.